Hi everyone, happy Monday. So I'm here on the Waltham Common and I wanted to share some of the hand controlled articular rotations by request that I did last week. So to get started, you can do this in any position. I'm going to sit up and use my thighs as kind of a block to prevent excessive movement. You could also do it in this position. I'm in a little prone prop lying on my stomach like this, or you could do it seated at a desk. So just follow along. I'm going to start by slowly warming up the forearms and the hands. So slowly start to bring your fists in together and squeeze, and then slowly extend. Curl them back into a little ball, clench your fists. We're going to start off nice and easy, and as we go, we're going to build up more intensity and a higher level of irradiation. So I can be squeezing my elbows into my sides to add more intensity. I can be squeezing my legs. You can really make this more challenging. But I'm just starting to slowly open and close. I'm going to add some more wrist flexion, curling the wrists underneath, and then extending and slowly rolling the hands open, spreading through the palms. I'm really trying to splay, get as much motion that way as possible. With the wrist extension, keep the wrist extended, and then slowly start to curl the fingers into a little ball. Curl, 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 and then add wrist flexion. So you should feel a nice stretch and everything kind of warming up. Extend the wrists, and then slowly curl open the fingers. You can try and also start from the pinkies and work your way in. Same thing when you extend, start extending just the pinkies, and then slowly the rest of the fingers join in. And then I'm going to reverse this by keeping my wrists flexed and extending the fingers. So I've got wrist flexion but finger extension, and then keeping the fingers extended, spread out, bring the palms up. You notice my arms and forearms aren't moving at all, just the fingers. Curl down and then open again. Spread up. Curl down and then spread open. So again, you can do this on just a tabletop at the edge of the table, over the edge. You can do it standing. You can just do it at your desk. And now I'm going to just focus on the thumb. So the thumb moves a little bit differently. We've got two ways it can come across. This is called opposition. And then it can also reposition itself back. And then it can extend this way and flex this way, and it can also abduct and adduct. So it's got a lot of ways to move, and we're going to try and move through all of them. So start by bringing the thumb forward and across, and really try and squeeze your palms so that your thumb is okay. Hopefully you're still there. So coming back, we're going to flex the thumb and bring it into that opposition position. So you're bringing it across the palm and squeezing, and then keep it close to the fingers, and you'll bring it back and extend open so it's reaching away from the midline, and then we're going to bring it back towards the body and then back towards the midline in the middle again. So see how the thumb is making a nice big kind of ovally circle, and the fingertips are not moving at all. So you do that a few times in that direction.
Really try and slow it down and control all the movement. Only go as far as you're not feeling any sort of pain. It should be difficult but comfortable. And keep extending back. So I like to do a few of these, but since my hands get overused a lot, I do a few extras more than just the usual 3 to 5 for each joint. So now to reverse it, I'm going to bring the thumbs open and back towards my body, and then away from the middle, and then back down towards the palm again, and then reaching across to the pinky side, and then opening up to the middle, and then opening towards the back, towards your body, and then away. So repeat that a few times. And if you want to add an extra challenge, you can put a little block between your hands and push into that. Just keep enough space so your thumbs can still move. And now moving on to the wrist. We're going to keep the palms facing down, but just drawing a circle with the fingertips. So you might have to spread your arms out a little bit to be able to reach, bringing them all the way down, flexed. You're going to bring the tips of the fingertips towards each other, and then keep facing them towards each other and extending up towards the sky or the ceiling or your face or wherever you are, and then keeping the fingertips and the palms facing forward and not moving the forearms at all. I'm going to try and wipe the hands away from each other and then bring them back down towards the floor. So nice big controlled circles in the wrists, really focusing on moving the whole hand as a unit. Fingertips are kind of glued towards each other to increase the intensity and add to that irradiation. Another nice kind of coordination trick, especially to give yourself more space, is have both hands going either clockwise or counterclockwise. So they're doing different things but moving in the same direction. And still trying to keep the forearms really, really steady. You can drive your elbows into your body if you're standing in a position that you can reach, or you can even have a block between your elbows to squeeze. That will add to your radiation. And then going the other direction, doing different but the same movement on each side, just so my hands don't bump into each other. Nice and slow, making a full, complete circle that is pain-free. So say I was coming up into wrist extension this way and I started to have some pain in the back of my wrist. That's very common for people. If you start to feel a pinchy pain, you just want to make a smaller circle for now while you're doing your cars, and then you want to go get that joint checked out by an FR practitioner who can assess the that specific articulation and maybe give you some hands-on work or some more specific isolated isometric work to gain better joint control, so that when you do make a big circle, you're not creating that impingement in the joint. But you need to know, is it a functional impingement that's just neurologically based, or is it their mechanical impingement that needs some hands-on intervention? So now that we've done that way, just to be really thorough, you can also have your palms and forearms in this position. This is called supination. This is called pronation. So now we're in a supinated position, and we're going to do the same thing, extend the wrists. Now the extension is towards the floor, but we're still not moving the forearms and only moving the wrist joints. The fingers and the hands are just along for the ride, and it's going nice and smoothly. And then reverse to go the other way. We're just going to bring it up towards the body and over, and then down towards the floor and back to the other side. Keep going and repeating these circles nice and controlled. It should feel like you're working pretty hard. Your forearms might start to feel a little tired, and that's what we expect because we're asking them to do some very specific movements. You could also do this with a fist. It just depends on how you feel like working on your wrist movement. Maybe this is easier for you to control right now, and so you keep your fingers in a ball. You could also squeeze onto some tennis balls or lacrosse balls to add some more radiation. And then from here, I like to do some pronation and supination for the elbows, because it's not just the wrists that do this movement, it's also up in the elbow that does this pivot. So again, keeping the elbows very stationary, I'm just going to flex the wrists like this, and then rotate the forearms so that they're facing down, and then extend the wrists back up, and then keep them extended and rotate. So it's kind of like a wonky axial rotation, cars rotation. You can kind of decide which way, clockwise or counterclockwise. I'm just trying to get the wrist and the forearms to work together, but also work separately. The fists, just getting all of the joints moving in as much of a range as I can get. And then you want to go in both directions, so switch, bringing the fists back up, and then rotating the forearms, flexing the fists down, rotating the forearms again. So this is more of like a figure eight than an actual circle. But figure eights are really cool too. And then we can also add full elbow extension, so my arms are now straight, and then bring the elbows into full flexion, squeeze the biceps, and rotate the forearms. Extend straight down, rotate just from the elbows and wrists, so our shoulders are staying very packed and still. And now our figure eight is coming from the elbows, hinge joint and pivot joint. We're getting both kinds of movement by combining these two things together. And then to reverse, bring the elbows back into extension, rotate the wrists and elbows, and then flex back up. Rotate and extend, rotate and flex, rotate, extend, rotate, and flex. I'm not going to go into the glenohumeral joint right now because it's kind of wonky framing. I don't think you'll be able to see, but just for good measure and thoroughness, I like to do some shoulder rotation. So just pressing your arms straight down towards the floor. Try and rotate just from this joint, keeping the elbow and the wrists pretty still. So I'm just rotating out, thumbs out like a hitchhiker, and then rotating back in, thumb towards the back of me. So this This is internal rotation of the shoulder. This is external rotation of the shoulder, but I'm not moving anything besides my arm bone here. Just trying to wake up that joint capsule. We tend to stay in one position throughout the day, and that's this, or like this on our phone. So just trying to get that full range of motion that we have and use it, wake it up. And then scapular rotations as a nice final piece. You're going to bring the shoulders forward, so we're trying to spread the shoulder blades apart in the back, and then shrug your shoulders all the way up, and then squeeze them behind you. So let's see if I can get a little bit of a better shot. You're going to round the shoulders forward, keeping the thumbs in the same position so they're not moving, or forearms aren't moving, just the shoulder blades. And then shrug the shoulder blades up towards your ears, keep them as high as you can, and then squeeze your shoulder blades together in the back, trying to keep your arms super straight. A lot of people start to just pull their elbows and bend them. You want to keep your elbows very straight here. A ball would help, or just make a really tight fist, and then keep them squeezed together and push down to the floor. So that's our scapular circle. You're going to repeat that a few times in this direction. Up, back, down, forward, shrug up, squeeze back, press down, and pull forward. And then to reverse, we're going to keep them down, but squeeze them back, keep them back, and now shrug them up, keep them up, and bring them forward, and then back down to complete the circle. So repeat that backwards, circle a few times. Arms super straight, squeezing your fists. If you're standing, squeeze your legs, squeeze your feet into the ground. Make a nice, strong, and stable platform for these shoulders to move around, really focusing on that single joint movement. The neck is trying to stay very quiet as well. And one last one for good luck. Squeeze back, shrug up, forward, kind of a distal up approach for the upper extremity, the hands, the fingers, wrists, and elbows. If you have any questions about any specific movements, let me know. I hope this was helpful, and have a great rest of your Monday.